Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence. And it is Virginia Tech. This isn't some rinky-dink-ass program.
Come on, JC.
We're going to put those old guys in the grade. We'll go over some of the stats for the Bears. 2%, 11.
It's an 11 game.
Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence, a Sons of Saturday podcast. I'm your host, Pete B. I've got my co-host here, Sam Jesse. And this show is brought to you by Jack and Coke. Virginia Tech lost to South Carolina 24-11. I will start by just saying I'm going to have to eat some crow tonight, Sam, on my prediction. I think most fans saw why I made the prediction on Sunday, but nevertheless, it did not come true. How you feeling tonight, man?
I feel good. I mean, this is it's always weird being somebody who consumes and talks about college football as much as we do. When your team loses a game like that, it's always hard to listen to the stuff about it because you just don't want to relive it. Like, you kind of want to move on, but we will relive it a bit tonight. And I think there are a handful of positives from that game that I think I'm excited to talk about.
It's always hard for me to bury the game in my mind until I podcast about it. Now I'm so indoctrinated in doing this that it is a form of therapy in reality. It's not healthy, but it is our therapy.
It is. Doing this on Wednesdays has pros and cons, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, why don't you kick us off with the cheers?
Dude, my cheers, and this was so easy. Everybody who came out to our events in Atlanta at Park Tavern, if you came to the beer garden at the tailgate before the game, everybody we met at the hotel, talked to, shook hands with, thank you. Like, genuinely thank you. It still blows my mind the amount of people that listen to us, Pete, or at least me. And I can't tell you how many people came up and says, I listen to your podcast all the time, introduce themselves, talk ball. It blows my mind every single time we have an event. It's truly, truly awesome. And it's one of the coolest things that I get to do in my life. So I love this stuff, man.
Cheers, dude. Great cheers.
And I promise next year's event, I think we're going to win. We've talked about the potential opponent. I think we're going to win.
It's a possibility? Okay.
It's
yeah. And that's the thing about these events is, at the very least, and we knew it more so with the Atlanta trip than we did with the Nashville trip, that we're going down there for a good time. We don't know what's going to happen in the game. We want to win. If we don't win, it's not the end of the world. Last year felt like the end of the world when we lost to Vanderbilt. And we'll talk about Vanderbilt later in the show because we're recapping South Carolina and we're previewing Vandy. But this year was all about having fun. And Saturday with the Suns event at Park Tavern and Sunday at the beer garden before the game with Mahul and Techstream and everybody, it was awesome. And I echo your sentiments exactly to all the people that came up to us. We cannot possibly name them all, but thank you for listening.
And I will say, if you did come up and meet us and have a drink and shake hands and talk ball and whatever, make sure you send me a DM on Twitter or any Instagram, wherever you can find me. And just so I can keep a Rolodex of people who I met and talked to, it got to be in the dozens and dozens pretty quickly on Saturday. And if you have enough beers after about 3 dozen people, you start to lose names and faces. So
there was a lot of beers drank.
Please send me a message. Tell me you ran into me and I'll remember you. And I would love to connect with you.
For sure. And I owe some people some, if I said I was going to mail you a koozie, you have to DM me and don't lie. Okay. Because there were a few people that I was like, I will DM you one, whether it was on Twitter. Most of those were on Twitter, not in person. So I will probably know. Anyway, the AP poll, Sam, we got another ACC team in there. And that's because of Florida State's big upset over Alabama. So Miami comes in at number 5 after beating Notre Dame. Clemson falls to number 8. Florida State, number 14. And SMU, number 17. I was looking at the ACC schedules and who plays who, because in the SEC, they were bragging about how many ranked teams they have on their schedule in the preseason AP poll, which we know is going to be irrelevant by the end of the year. But we're past week 1. We got an extra team in there, and I was trying to see which ACC teams have the most ranked teams on their schedule. Who do you think it is that has the most ranked teams on their schedule in the ACC?
right
of the
now.
moderately competitive teams.
I'm gonna say Clemson.
Clemson's got 3 left.
Okay.
So does Miami, Florida State, Louisville, Pitt, and NC State. They all have 3.
Okay.
Syracuse has 4.
Oh, I should have picked Syracuse. I should have known that one.
Because they've got Notre Dame, Miami, SMU, and Clemson.
They got a tough one this week too.
We missed you on College Football Monday. Did you have any reaction to the weekend? Like, were you equally as shocked by Florida State?
I mean, that Florida State result is about as shocking as they come. I do think, in a cruel twist of irony, Alabama could be this year's Florida State. I don't think so. I think they're a little bit better built than that Florida State team was. I think you just saw a team that was not prepared. Like, they had their one scripted drive and that was it. And speaking of having one scripted drive and nothing else, UNC, oh my God, like that game.
Yeah, dude. There was a lot of teams that went right down the field on their first drive, and most of them failed after that. And we did that to South Carolina, except for South Carolina eventually came back around. Bama and UNC did not.
Yeah. And I think that's really interesting. The Texas-Ohio State game was a slobber knocker, and I think people need to pump the brakes on Texas not being a national title contender, because the flip side of that quesadilla is they held Ohio State to 14 points.
Right.
And so I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on week 1. Teams are, in the words of Frank Beamer, it's not as good as it seems and it's not as bad as it seems.
Yeah. Fitting for the Beamer Ball matchup we just had. And we'll talk about that in a second. Let's get to the depth chart injury update, Sam. They decreased the running backs on the depth chart from 6 to 4. We're culling it down. We are no Bennett, no Mason on there. And Terrion Stewart is progressing, according to Coach Pry.
Yeah, yesterday had a really good report. He didn't travel with the team, which I think has more to do with they don't want you sitting in a plane or a bus for a long time and swelling and stuff like that. So he didn't travel with the team, but he passed everything that he needed to pass. And then today, out of the boot, looking good. They feel like he is going to get some run in the Vanderbilt game. Not a lot of carries. I think he's on certainly a pitch count, but situationally, I think you'll see Stewart get some carries this weekend, which is a great sign because I did not think that when I talked to some people on Sunday at the game.
I want him on the field, man. I like Hawkins. I liked what I saw, but I want Bennett out there. The things that he did in the tackle breaking and getting the yardage he did at Bowling Green, we need that. We need that kind of production on the field. I just noticed my lunch pail in the background is open. Unusual. I think I went in there to grab some koozies before the weekend, and it is open. So I don't know what that means. We will find out. Maybe it's a good thing.
Maybe.
All right. And then there was also a players only meeting the other day.
Okay. This is funny. I think players only meetings are like way blown out of proportion. Apparently Tech has been having like players only meetings since the spring. And like, this was just the one that they had this week. And I think it's more of a case of they were just talking before the coaches got in the room more than like the group text, hey, everybody meet at Merriman at this time.
Okay.
And it's led by the team captains and they want to talk. And I think the message, according to Jaden Keller and according to Pry today was, hey, like, this is what we played well. It's not good enough here. We really need to correct these mistakes. If we want to get to where we are, everybody needs to buy in. And one thing they also said was confidence, having the confidence to not hold your head down, to get back off the mat and be ready to play on Saturday. So I think, and again, I've said this about the Pry era and this group of players, effort is not an issue. And Brent Pry said that in the post game against South Carolina. He said those dudes played their butts off, and they did. So I think you'll see a focused, fired up team on Saturday.
Yeah, no, that it wasn't as serious. You're kind of dumbing down the idea of this players only meeting. Like,
yeah,
it's not an emergency quite yet.
No.
All right. College Football Monday was back. It wasn't on Monday. I did a little video on Monday, and then me, Robert, and Coach Holmes did an episode last night. That's already in your feed. It was fun chopping it up with the guys, and so hope you guys are enjoying that one. The Pick'em leaders. All right, Sam. So we ended up with 169 members in our Pick'em this year. So there will be something from Roback for the first place finisher. So that's good news. Remember to use code 2DVT when you're on roback.com. 8 people, though, went 7-3 this week in the pick'em. Nobody got to 8 wins. So I'm not going to read off all the names when it's mixed above, 5 people that finish in first place. I'm sorry, but congrats to the 8 of you that went 7-3. I went 5-5, good enough for 25th place. It means the rest of the pool is not doing good. Most people did put in picks. I was wondering if there's going to be 100 people that didn't put their picks in. No, a lot of people did. A lot of people just did badly.
Yeah, I was one of them. I was one of those people. In real life betting, I was positive units, so I'll take that any day of the week. But yeah, wrong on the Texas Ohio State game, wrong on Alabama Florida State, wrong on Virginia Tech South Carolina. Yeah, swung and miss on the big games.
Yeah, what can you do? In this week's pick'em, there's a lot of big spreads. A lot of big spreads in that one. And Sam and I are going to pick some of those games later on. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Game recap. Caleb Woodson did play, Sam. He was there. He made some tackles. They didn't suspend him. They didn't make him sit for a half. He was there. So that's the first note. You were in the press box. So as I move through this quick game recap, if you want to jump in with anything, maybe I said something wrong or you saw something different, please do. South Carolina went right down the field, as we said, on the first drive. Their script was working. Sellers looked great. He got in the end zone. It was our worst nightmare right off the bat. However, the defense started to play better, and we managed to move the ball a bit. Kyron had that bad interception, kind of forced it into a lot of bodies in the end zone. They picked it off, but we ended up getting a sack safety on that turnaround. So we got some points, kicked a couple field goals. They kicked a field goal. It's 8-10 at the half, and it stayed that way until the beginning of the fourth quarter. And that's when we thought our fears were realized on the first drive. That's when it really went dark because Beamer ball hit, but it hit for the South Carolina Gamecocks, and they got an 80-yard punt return from Bakari Swain. We responded with a field goal after a 9-play drive, and we could have gone for it on fourth down, but we didn't. It was 11-17. Sellers comes back over the top to Nick Harbor. That was the dagger. Game over. 24-11 Gamecocks. And before I get your reaction, Sam, we're going to do story of the game, all that good stuff. We got voicemails. The voicemails are back, so let's give those a listen.
Hey guys, this is your boy, Rubber Derby. I'm walking through Atlanta. I don't know where the hell I am. The game just ended. It sucked.
I don't understand. We were so worried about Steve just not knowing what he was going to do. But Philip Montgomery went out there and laid a f***ing goose egg. Brent Price 0-6 in ranked games. Beamer just wiped his ass with us.
I think we got the result we were all thinking was going to happen. There was some promise, though, and that defense really showed up, and it was really great to see how great that defense was.
Pete, Sam, we lost the game, but I wasn't really expecting to win. We played pretty well, though. Defense looked good, especially the D-line.
There's going to be takeaways and say, oh, well, defense played good, which it did. The run defense especially kept Sellers in check. Faison didn't do anything. Whatever.
Man, the offense needs some help, though. Started drive, and things kind of looked pretty good, moving the ball, but then a dropped pass happens or a penalty happens.
Greens looked good. John Love is MVP. We settled for too many field goals and have any touchdowns.
That was really rough seeing the offense not even get a single touchdown the entire game.
We knew there would be a special teams touchdown. I was just hoping it would be Holloway.
I think this might be my low. I'm not kidding. This is my low. I just saw a picture of Lenora Sellers giving the game ball to Frank Beamer. What the fuck are we doing? This is it. We have had our legend be absolutely just snatched by the 12th best program in the SEC.
I was watching in South Carolina, so I was just surrounded by Cox.
Sam and Pete, hope you guys had fun down in ATL. Listen, man, we could have won that game. We coulda, woulda, shoulda, and I'm tired of losing the first day out.
This sucks. I hate everything.
I'm not surprised we lost. I'm not even really mad we lost.
This is the last time I pay to go to a Virginia Tech football game.
Hey, it's Hokie Hack here in Darlington, South Carolina. I didn't make the trip to Atlanta. You know why? I knew what was going to happen, and you know what? I made the right choice.
Gotta move on to Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt.
Beat the shit out of Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia, we're coming for those kneecaps, my boy.
I'm dying. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much for the calls. A lot of good ones. Our friend Robert Irby, passionate. This could be his low.
He did make it home. I will caveat that, but I don't listen to any of the voicemails until the show, which is always a pleasure. And thank you to everybody for calling. Yeah, I think this was like, and this was the theme of my article that I wrote on sonsofsaturday.com. It was predictable in all the wrong ways for Virginia Tech. Like, it was so easy to predict that South Carolina was going to have a big special teams play. It was so easy to predict that Nick Harbor, the fastest player in college football, was going to just blow by us for a long touchdown. And it was, unfortunately, easy to predict that Dylan Stewart was going to cause a lot of issues for Kyron Drones in this Virginia Tech passing game, especially with a brand new left tackle, especially considering that our left tackle just played a game for LSU and or Auburn, whoever the heck he plays for now. Whichever SEC team took that offensive lineman, and then we have the other one playing. Like it was every storyline that South Carolina wanted to hit in this game, they were able to hit in
which
a game
sucks.
which sucks. Like, it's so bad. And look, I think you will have a lot of people are saying, "Hey, oh, there's fireworks behind me now." Great. I don't know how that happened, but if you're watching,
that's
on
cruel.
YouTube,
That's cruel right there.
Virginia Tech played really well in this game, except for, like, I'm not kidding, 5 plays.
Right.
All 5 of those plays led to points for South Carolina.
Yeah. They didn't also mess up on those plays. They played those plays perfectly. And
they didn't have a lot of bad plays. They really didn't.
They didn't. Other than the safety. I mean, honestly, the worst plays were probably all from Lenora Sellers. I mean, he was taking bad sacks.
I mean, he had a couple, and that's what he does. Like, he takes a lot of sacks. He had a couple bad throws. I think there was one drop that they had on 3rd down that was bad. That was really it. Like, they didn't make a lot of other mistakes, and Virginia Tech just made 1 too few many. I will say Virginia Tech was less penalized than South Carolina, which I thought was, call it what you will, like a good sign. They didn't screw up in that regard, but that's a look in the mirror type game. If you're
when
Virginia
we did have
Tech.
penalties, though, they really mattered. That's what always kills me with Virginia Tech. We'll get to those mistakes a little bit later. You gave us the thing about your article. Is that your story of the game? Like, what would be your story of the game, summing it up? Yeah,
I mean, that's it. It's Virginia Tech, as much improved as they are, and we'll talk about where they are much improved from last year, fighting the same demons and losing. And I think you have to find some winning mentality in that building right now. And you got to have to figure it out, because in that game, they found ways to lose that game.
That is just our story for 3 years plus now.
Yeah.
And that stinks. All right. My story of the game would be our defense coming to play, fighting hard, but falling short because of 2 to 3 to 4 big plays. That's kind of my story. It's not a perfectly summed up story. It was kind of hard to do for this one because it was almost like a game inside of 2 ends of a game. And I will say we looked bigger, more physical than the last few years. I will say that without a doubt. And that's a credit to the portal pickups. That's a credit to Coach Ferg. And so that was a positive that we'll hit right off the bat. Before we jump into defense, because I thought that was the better side of the ball, Sam, can I tell our listeners that 2 Deep Hokies Under the Influence is brought to you by Jack and Coke? I will. 2 legends, 1 can. Jack and Coke, the #1 cocktail in the world, is now available in a can. It's true. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey and Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, Cherry Coke, Vanilla Coke are now available in a can. And you can get them at your local grocery and convenience stores, liquor stores, beer stores, wherever. 2 legends, 1 can, Jack and Coke. They got the variety pack. So you can get that cherry, you can get that vanilla, and you can get the original all in 1 pack now, Sam.
And the Blackberry.
The Blackberry is also...
We're counting down days to National Blackberry Day.
National Blackberry Day, 9/12, I believe.
Blackberry
Is that when the
cobbler.
release is coming out, or is it already?
I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I can't think of a better way to spend National Blackberry Day than with a Blackberry Jack and Coke. That sounds delicious.
So make sure to grab those Jack and Cokes ready to drink. And as always, please drink responsibly. On defense, Sam, we talked about this in the chat today. Shades of early Bud Foster scheme defense? Was that what we were seeing from Sam Steveskis?
We saw some bear. We saw some bear front from the chef.
Okay.
Are we going to go with the chef or the chief?
Chief Seif.
Chief Seif or the chief. Okay. We saw some bear front from the chief. I think we also saw them mix up the fronts a lot and go from odd man fronts to even man fronts and do that not only in between drives, but do it during drives. And, Kamari Copeland said it post game. Emmett Law said it post game. Brent Pry said it post game. They had Lenore Sellers guessing, and they had the interior of that South Carolina offensive line guessing all game long. And it led to a lot of TFLs, a lot of pressures on the quarterback, and a lot of stuffed runs. So I think schematically, we got everything we wanted from the Chief on defense. And Brent Pry said it in his postgame that, hey, I thought the game plan was the right one. And he was referencing defense. He alluded to offense as well, which we'll get to. But I think they did a great job on defense in this game. I really have a hard time saying that they did anything but a great job.
And I think that came across to a lot of the Carolina fans too, because the commentary so far on Billy and Pat's episode that they put out and on College Football Monday was like, you guys got some dudes. Like that was,
oh yeah,
you guys are going to win some games. Like most of the reaction from the opposing fans have been that, because the way we were disguising pressures and swarming to the ball and putting our DBs on islands like Bud used to do, it was cool. And the rotation of the guys, the variety of the looks, it's what we thought we could get from Sam Steveskis, but we weren't sure we were going to get it. They only surrendered 10 points after the first drive, because keep in mind, 7 of the points came on special teams. And that was, 7 of those came on one really bad play. So they really played well for most of the game. And the D-line, 4 sacks, 7 TFL, the safety, just 119 rush yards allowed. The only time that we've given up fewer yards in last year was GT, Duke, and Virginia. GT didn't have Haynes King. Duke was primarily just throwing the ball on us, and they didn't run. And Virginia sucks. So this was a really good defensive performance against the run, considering what Sellers can do with his legs.
Yeah, Virginia Tech allowed only a 30% success rate. So what that means is like the number of yards that you would want to get, like on a first down, you want 5 yards. On a second down, if you have 5 yards left, you want 3 of the 5 yards. And on third down, you want to get all of the yards left, right? You want to have like a successful play. Think about that. Only 30% of South Carolina's rushing plays were successful in this game.
I heard it was 21%. Was it 30? Well, either way, either one is good.
I have 30, but it's good. And I think too, if you look at how this Virginia Tech defense did it, it wasn't a bunch of crazy blitzes. It wasn't a bunch of like miscommunications in the read option game from South Carolina. It was just the defensive tackles getting interior push. I thought James Joncom and Ben Bell started this game slow, but they both picked it up to the second half, and Ben Bell had a great second half of this game. I thought Copeland was great. Gilliam was great. Emmett Laws was great. We saw Heisman, the transfer from North Dakota State, get in there and look really good. So Elijah Fall just looked insane on a play. Like where did that come
slap
from?
And tackle with the ball flying out of Sellers' hand? That was one of the coolest plays of the game, if not the coolest.
Nobody's really talked about that, but South Carolina being able to recover that. They got the big run the next play on the missed tackle from Burgos, and then we're able to kick a field goal. Yeah. That was a big switch in this game.
That's what this game was. It was one step forward, one step back, or one step forward, 1.5 steps back, as I said on College Football Monday. Like we could never just – Kevin alluded to that in the calls. Like it was always something. Like every drive it was something. But overall, it was really cool what we were doing on defense. We played 28 different guys, Sam, which – is either manufacturing depth or just straight up having depth.
I think they straight up have depth. I really do. And we saw, a guy like Caleb Spencer didn't even get a lot of run in this game. And Pry talked about how he's going to come in and play some more. So Jordan Bass, he got a few plays as well. He had the chase down on that long run in order to tackle face on before he got in the end zone. So, and that saved a touchdown, ended up with only 3 points. So there's a lot of playable guys on this team. I mean, it's going to be a fresh, energized defense all year long,
which is so nice. You hate to see the pass over the top, but we kept Sellers in check most of the day. Something the national media did not watch because it's as if he had the greatest game ever. But I would think before the game, if we saw 209 passing yards, 25 net rushing yards for him, we would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Sellers had a very good game. I think you saw a lot of his deficiencies in his game. I think you also saw his strengths, the escapability out of the pocket, strong running, the touchdown run he had. No one was going to tackle him on that run. And it was the most obvious QB draw of all time, and it did not matter. And then you saw the deep ball to Nick Harbor, where you saw the accuracy, the arm strength. The tools are certainly there for him. I'm not really buying the Heisman hype because I just don't think he's a polished quarterback yet. But you see why NFL scouts really like this guy.
He's going to have to put up better stats than he did on Sunday to get the Heisman. But I will say, if Harbor is the dude that he looked like, that's something that wasn't in my calculus. Like that he was going to potentially look that good. Because there was another touchdown they took off the board that he caught.
Yeah, which was a great play by Tyson Flowers, I thought. And
it was.
We have those little screens up in the press box where you can just watch the play over and over again. He never caught the ball. It was jarred loose pretty much the second he, that it touched his hands. But the dude, like, if he didn't have the dropsies and he could actually run routes because he can't really run routes. He just kind of runs straight. He's borderline unstoppable. Like he is the absolute fastest player Virginia Tech will play this year, and it's not up for debate.
I mean, he is bigger Andre Davis.
Yeah.
Like that's what he is. That's that speed to burn, man, and a quarterback that can get it there.
He reminds me a lot of a certain wide receiver who played for the Cleveland Browns, and he shall not be named, but I miss him very much. But yeah. He's got that. He's got that kind of stuff in him.
The other thing that Brett said in our chat, and then we'll move to offense.
Josh Gordon, if you don't know. Josh Gordon.
Yeah, I knew who's the guy with the drink.
He reminds me of Josh Gordon. Yeah.
Barely anyone in this game for our defense missed assignments. They just missed the tackles. Like it was an execution problem more than an assignment problem. That's something that Brett pointed out, and I totally agreed with. And that is different. Like that is different than what we've seen the last couple of years with Marv.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a better problem to have than just not being there to make the play at all. And I also think we have to remember that everyone misses tackles against Lenore Sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Like, I don't think Tech's going to play a tougher guy to tackle at the quarterback position than Lenore Sellers. I thought there were some disappointing efforts. Caleb Woodson had a few where he needs to make those tackles on the sidelines. Burgos had 2 really bad just whiffs, and that can't happen. And so you did see some week 1 oopsie daisies and some olays from the defenders. I didn't think tackling was necessarily a problem for Virginia Tech in this game, especially considering the opponent, but it certainly wasn't a strength of the game either.
No. And that's something we saw last year too in the Vandy game. Because I had my Vandy game notes up because I'm going through Vanderbilt. And it's like, oh yeah, we saw some of that. But the defense needs to be praised because they're the reason that anyone feels good after this game. Like that it was because of the way Sam Seifkes was running his front and getting pressure on Lenore Sellers.
Something else about the defense, Virginia Tech had 11 havoc plays in that game. And a havoc play is a tackle for loss, a forced fumble, or a defended pass. So like an interception or a bat down or something like that. 11. 20% of all of South Carolina's plays ended in a tackle for loss. Actually, that was just tackle for loss because Tech didn't have a forced fumble and they only had 1 defended pass. So
we did have a forced fumble on the sack, but we didn't get it.
Oh, maybe that is it. Yep. So they had that one as well. Like That is 93rd percentile of all FBS versus FBS games since the start of last year.
Yeah, this could, again, you got to do it both ways. We're not going to take too much negative from week 1 or too much positive, but like if we live up to some of the havoc numbers and the sack numbers and stuff, like this could be back to the pale defense.
I'm thinking like 2017 defense is like, that's kind of what I saw from this defense, that 2017 team.
Let's talk about the offense, Sam. Completely different story. 0 touchdowns. That's what our callers were saying. That's what a lot of people were saying after the game. I think Juliana said, isn't the point to get a touchdown in football? and she's not wrong. Kyron really struggled, and that was a big factor, if not the biggest factor, of why we lost this game. And I'm not trying to put all the blame on Kyron because it is a team sport, but he was 15 of 35, 221 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I don't think he had many wow moments, but he certainly had areas where you saw improvement from last year. And that's a good sign. I think he played better than his numbers, but still not good enough.
Okay.
I mentioned this in my article. At least 4, he had, like 17 incompletions or something like that. 3 of them were, I'm going to call drops. 3 of them were just drops. 2 of them were scrambling, trying to find somebody sitting in the zone, and they didn't really sit down where you wanted them to. And honestly, that was the back-to-back incompletions to Benji Gosnell, where I think on another day, those are completions. And then you had at least 4 that were just straight up throwaways while under pressure. So he was avoiding sacks there. I don't mean that to make excuses for him, but I say it definitely wasn't as bad as what his numbers looked like. However, you need to be better in a game like this. You absolutely need to be better. He needs to be better on Saturday, and he knows it. He looked dejected after that game. He was not happy at all.
I mean, a lot of what you said is right on. And this is just straight up an excuse, but it's a reason to. This might be the best secondary we play all season.
It might be it's the best secondary. It's the best edge rusher. I mean, you can argue Dylan Stewart or Ruben Bain for Miami.
They were replacing a lot of guys, but their secondary was pretty loaded.
Good. Very good. And it's also good at every position. And they even lost one of their starting corners, and they brought in a guy who was just as good.
Yeah. So the receivers could have done him more favors, but Isaiah Spencer also made one of the most amazing catches, and Aiden Green's made an insane catch on the sideline that got called back. Like the receivers, I think that went both ways. There were the drops, and I just want to get through one game where Green doesn't have a drop. I know Kyron's problem, one of his problems, he has no touch on the ball. Like he has one speed and it's coming at you 100 miles an hour, which works a lot of the time, but not all the time. If a guy's 7 yards away from you, you can't throw it at 60 miles an hour and expect him to catch it. It's called touch. It's called accuracy. There's a certain amount of, finesse that you have to play jinx. So that's part. Like Bud Elliott said, he doesn't throw a very catchable ball.
Mm-mm.
And so that has to be taken into account for these receivers, that if we're going to kill them for drops on the other side, all of it works in tandem. So everyone can be better, but the stat that David Cunningham put out, Kyron is 1 of 14 with 2 interceptions on pass plays inside South Carolina territory.
Yeah.
That is unforgivable. Really unforgivable.
That's bonkers. Now, I believe 7 of those attempts came on 2 drives. So you had the last drive that Virginia Tech had the ball. He had 4 pass attempts inside the South Carolina 50. And then you had, when Virginia Tech had a 1st and goal, Virginia Tech ran a pass play on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. All 3 of them ended in incompletion. So I think you had an instance where it was really just 2 moments where he didn't look comfortable and he missed a couple guys. The interception in the red zone, he was asked about it after the game, and he said, "Hey, I saw Takai Heath in the back of the end zone. I let it go. Yeah, they
didn't go
converged
far
on
enough."
And it was, he threw the ball like 2 steps too late, because if you look back at the play, Takai Heath was open in the back of the end zone and he just like held on to it for a little bit too long. I think he does have a problem predicting what is going to happen after he releases the ball. And against a good secondary that can react, that's how you see an interception like that.
If you want a breakdown of that play, Mike Holmes went over that play in detail on College Football Monday about how when it's a scramble drill, you have 3 guys that have to go. The short guy goes long guys go short, blah, blah, blah. All the guys went long. Yeah. And so the scramble drill didn't work out. Now, he was open, and Kyron forced it, and he threw it short. But it was an interesting perspective on the play. Mike also pointed out that when he had a clean pocket, when he had time, he was very accurate and very good, something that hasn't always been the case.
Yeah, I thought as a pure pocket passer, he actually had a very good game. He got knocked out of the pocket a few times too many. And the offensive line, I think, knew that. And this is, again, a very, very good pass rush that South Carolina has. But I think a lot of times when he was scrambling, you sometimes run into the issue of quarterbacks want to keep their eyes downfield and force the ball or throw the ball. He had a few instances where he just needed to take off and get a few yards or take off and get a big gain. And he did it. And I think that is something that when he goes back and looks at the film, he's gonna see that he had some running lanes. He only ran for 37 positive yards, and that's not including the 2 sacks. So, and that was on like 8-9 rushes or something like that.
He had 12 carries, 2 sacks.
Of them were sacks. So 10 carries. Yeah. I mean, he didn't. He was not a prolific enough runner in this game for the Virginia Tech offense to overcome the matchup against this defense.
And it might have not worked to run him more, but 35 pass attempts for Kyron Drones, that's not a winning formula. Like it really isn't, unless you're going up against a really bad FCS team. Like he should be running the football, not as much as he throws, but a lot closer than 12 and 35.
I think it was more difficult for Virginia Tech to run the ball in this game than they expected. They abandoned the inside for pretty much the whole second half. They abandoned the right up the gut inside duo play. They abandoned that pretty quickly because South Carolina's defensive tackles were kind of blowing it up, and their linebackers played a really good game.
I mean, they got huge defensive tackles, 2 like 320-pound dudes, and their linebacker, JR. Oh my God, dude.
Well, you'll see. Shout out Phil Montgomery for adjusting, because then Virginia Tech started to run, kind of in the 3 hole to the left. They found a little bit of space, and it was working well. South Carolina adjusted, and Virginia Tech was getting positive yardage, but the speed of South Carolina's defense was not allowing Virginia Tech to bust a big run. The longest, Tech had 2 runs of 11 yards. Almost everything else was 2 to 3 yards. They did not really get the 5-6 yard rushes that we were able to get with Tootin last year. I think that really, really hurt the offense.
Yeah. And that's the advantage of the eye on the sky, that point out about the adjustments. And that's why it was nice. Sam was in the booth, though we did miss you in the stands, because we had me, Coach Irby, and Billy Ray. Like
I waved down to the peasants. I thought you would see me.
Dude, I said this on X today, but sitting next to Billy Ray, yet again, like I leave the game battered and bruised, dude. He's like punching you in the arm. He's giving you like the most vicious high fives you've ever had in your life. My hand is broken. But it is a blast. And at one point, he was like slamming the seat in front of us, and my beer shot straight out of the cup holder, upside down onto the South Carolina fan in front of us. He was not happy. He was very not happy.
I didn't spill my beer on David Cunningham next to me, but maybe next game we'll get a little rowdy. But that is apparently that's pretty frowned upon.
Drink in the press box.
Yeah. What happened to America?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was America. Come on now. So, final couple things here. Him reviewing the film with Monty, him being Kyron, and how quickly they can figure that out is going to be critical for next game, because he has more time for the ACC games. But for next game, him and Monty need to get together, figure out what went well, what didn't go well, what they need to do next game, and put it out there. Billy sent that clip of Ty Hildenbrand, who we had on the show, about the performance, and just was like, drones isn't it. And part of me wonders, like, is it any more complicated than that? Like we're like, oh, in the pocket he's this, and then he did this, and oh, but if this guy had run, is it really more complicated? Because there's been a lot of commentary like, why aren't we playing pop?
I mean, did you watch the Duke game last year? That's why you're not playing pop. Did you watch the Minnesota game? And I know the offensive line was, a skeleton crew, but it is Kyron's the best quarterback on the roster, and there's really not an argument to be made about.
I'm fairly certain he gives us the best chance to win.
Yeah.
I know that's not what everyone wants to hear when he just has a game where he's 15 of 35, but I'm pretty certain that's the case, and he's going to be out there until kingdom come.
Yeah, and something about this game, like Tech had a higher success rate in this game than South Carolina, 39% to 38%. Neither of those percentages are very good, but like this wasn't a case where Virginia Tech's offense was so bad and so anemic that it ruined the entire game.
Yeah.
Like there were Virginia Tech was like 2 plays away offensively for scoring 2 touchdowns, because you have the chop block that really hurt because Aiden Green had a Sports Center top 10 catch. That's called back with a 15-yard chop block. And then you have
the penalty.
later in the game, you have another penalty. And then after that, you also have the drop by Hawkins. If Hawkins is able to catch that, and I know it wasn't a great pass, but if he's able to catch that, he might be gone.
I know. He had 58 yards and almost 4 yards of carry in the run game, but he would have been down the sideline with a huge play if he catches that ball. And it wasn't a perfect throw. He kind of stumbled over himself, whatever, but he showed some shiftiness in the game. He showed some vision. He's quick. He can block. It was encouraging. And that's what I said with the guys too, is that the skill talent looked like they belonged on the field.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Greens and Hawkins.
Hawkins looked like a power conference player. I thought Prelude coming back from that injury looked good. I think he's going to look better as the year goes on. He continues to get stronger. I thought the wide receivers played a great game. Takai Heath, I thought struggled a bit. He had the drop, but I thought as a blocker, he didn't hold his own. And that was an issue for Virginia Tech as they pivoted to more of the outside runs. When your slot receiver just can't get a body in front of somebody, that's where you can come up with some of those TFLs by the nickel or the slot corner. And Virginia Tech had a couple of those instances in the second half that were kind of drive killers. So I did think Benji Gosnell was a better blocker in this game though than he had been last year. And that was something that we talked about. So it was
a shame they couldn't get him involved in the pass game, but I agree. And I would say on that note, and this is one of the last things I have about the offense, and we're going to move to special teams, takeaways, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
The OL did not look overmatched. It wasn't perfect, but they did not look overmatched, even with an All-American rushing at them. Like, that's a big-ass D-line. We talked about the secondary. You said one of the best D-lines we're going to face. It's true. And they had to roll KD out a lot. I think the O-line played admirably. I really do.
I think they're going to improve a lot during the season, similar to how the 2023 Virginia Tech offensive line got better and better throughout the season. I think this unit is going to get better.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. We have a redshirt freshman center, and I
thought he was fine,
solid against two huge fat boys. So
yeah,
it was good. On special teams, another Labor Day disaster. Like, double zeros, the punt penalty. We got our punter, Velcistis, just booing the ball.
And I thought he was great. By the way.
They accept the penalty, and lo and behold, they run it back, and it just sucks, man. Like, that just sucked because it's the Beamer ball thing. We thought we had an advantage with special teams because they replaced everybody on their special teams. Didn't matter. We still what did we do to deserve the reverse Beamer ball? Sounds like a sex position, but it's not. What did we do to deserve that?
I mean, the gunner was not on the line of scrimmage. And for those who don't know special teams formation, there is no instance ever in the game of football where your gunner on punt coverage should be off the line of scrimmage. And he was. So they had to re-kick. And Pry talked about it. He said, that's a really tough ask for your guys to go and cover a punt again.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to. And the punt was, I think that's one where as a punter, you probably just need to sky that ball up and try to get a fair catch.
Kick it out of bounds.
He bombed it.
I don't know.
There were some missed angles. Probably went into a little more detail on it yesterday, and he said, look, it was a litany of errors by pretty much every level of punt coverage there. And I even put in my notes for the game notes on the punt before, I said, punt coverage looks really good.
Oh, God.
and it just,
if it's going to be that
mistake.
hard to cover a punt twice, take a timeout. Like
I think it was.
It's just always something, dude. It's always something.
And Shane was going for a block punt every single punt, except for that one he pulled back into blocking.
Yep. There you go.
So I think that was a big.
Got out coached yet again.
You can't. It can't happen.
No,
it can't happen.
It
and it's happened too many times where this team has stupid special teams penalties, procedural special teams penalties. It cannot happen. Yep.
At least John Love is the man.
John Love is going to be an NFL kicker.
Mm-hmm.
He is insane.
He's good, man. And we're going to need him. We're going to need him this year. Final takeaways, Sam. A lot of our fans came away feeling fine about the game because they went in with no expectations. Like a lot of our fans either said on the call, like they didn't, like Grayson said, I'm not going to Atlanta. Forget that. Hack did the same thing. Those are some diehards, dude. And a lot of people were in that boat, just like, let me just wait and see. And so many of them came away like, you know what? We looked pretty good for about 45 minutes there. That was kind of interesting. I might even go to a game now or something. I was of the opposite. And that's why, and this comes back to my record, my prediction on the game and everything was just like, I expected to compete. Like we do so much research into these two teams, and I'm not saying it's the be all end all. You can be surprised on game day, but like most of the things that I thought played out, except for drones, because I wanted him to use his legs more. I wanted him to get back to the 2023 Kyron drones, have the efficiency move up under Monty. And instead it went the other way. We had a sub 50 QBR. We had a terrible passer rating. And yes, there are caveats to all of that. We've already gone through all of them in detail. But the reason my prediction was wrong and my hot take was wrong, that he was going to outplay Sellers in this game. Now, and it was a hot take for a reason. It was a long shot. That's why I came away from this game slightly more discouraged than encouraged, because I was already up here when a lot of other fans were down here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I would sum that up. And the disappointment, I'll talk about maybe a little bit more of it, but go ahead on your reaction overall.
No, I mean, the three most influential plays in this game all went against Virginia Tech. The long touchdown to Harbor, the punt return touchdown, and the interception in the red zone. When all three of the biggest plays in that game go against you, mathematically biggest plays in that game go against you, you're probably not going to win.
Mm-mm.
And time again in these close games, the big plays like that go against Virginia Tech. And you have to find a way to just be like, have the weird thing go your way for once. And this Virginia Tech team just can't find it. And I don't know what you can do as a coach. I don't know what you can do necessarily as a player other than just go out and execute every play, because you're playing good teams. And the second that you mess up, they are going to capitalize with it.
Right.
And
we're just like a bumbling klutz, like of a team. And that's, I talked about my expectations for Kyron, like being the main disappointment and why I came away a little discouraged, but it was still the undisciplined, sloppy, mistake-filled football throughout that we've seen for 3 years already. Like that's number two reason. And the third reason I'm discouraged is because it was a giant opportunity. It was a winnable game yet again. South Carolina gave us every chance to win that game, to take the lead. And we refused to do it. We simply refused. And those three things in combination are why I come away disappointed. It doesn't mean I'm changing my prediction for the season. I'm still going to stay at 8-4. You were at 7-5. Hey, you might even move up after seeing the way the defense played.
I'm still at 7-5. I got to be honest. Like, everyone in the press box after that game were trying to like, dude, Tech defense plays like that, they're winning more than 6 games. Like that's just if Virginia Tech plays almost any other team on their schedule, if that game was against Georgia Tech, Tech wins.
With the way Georgia Tech played in the first half
Yeah.
against Colorado.
I mean, if that game is against has NC State, Tech wins.
Yeah.
And so that is
keep it going.
That's what's a little frustrating about this game for me is I hope that wasn't the flash in the pan. I hope that wasn't the Florida State on Labor Day game from the defense. I really, really hope this unit is actually that good because I think the offense has a lot of potential, but I also think they are going to be very inefficient throughout this year.
The sky certainly isn't falling after that game. I wanted the win, but it's not falling. Week 1, ton of new pieces on the roster, new pieces on the staff. And the mistakes that I just went through, my hope is that they're more fixable mistakes.
Correctable. They are much more correctable than the issues Virginia Tech had last year. Yes.
All right. I think that about does it. Let's move on to Vanderbilt after I tell you guys to visit roback.com and load up your cart because we are brought to you by Roback. They have got all the most beautiful polos you could imagine. I saw every single one at the event this weekend, Sam, didn't we?
There was enough Roback being worn that we had people coming up to us and saying, what's up with the Roback? And we got to share that our Roback code is 2DeepVT.
That's right. And you know what, Sam? We should be millionaires based on the fact of how much Roback I saw down there, but we are not. Anyway, make sure you use code 2DeepVT, all one word, to get 20% off your first order from Roback. In addition to the polos they have in lots of different colleges, they have the hoodies, tees, quarter zips, shorts, joggers, women's stuff. Go to their site, load up your cart, use code 2DeepVT for 20% off your order. Roback Crave Activity. Sam, are you drinking something over there tonight?
I am, and it's a really fun one. It is autumnal in all the best, spookiest ways. I love me some spooky season. This is the Persnickety Witch Pumpkin Ale from Tradition Brewing Company in Newport News. This beer has a really fun story. If you don't know, Jamestown, Virginia had its own witchy past to it. So go look that up. It's really fun. I've never had a beer from Tradition Brewing, I don't think. And this one, it says, is cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, a wheat pale ale with some malted oats as well. It's only 5.8%, but 35 IBU. It is, you only going to drink one of them, but it's exactly what you want from this beer.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it has a little bit more bite than I normally like in the beer, but really good. It smells like a Yankee Candle. It's incredible. Like the smell. This is maybe the best smelling beer I've ever had. It's incredible. It tastes good. Really cool can. I'm giving it like a 3.75 because I'm not a huge fan of the like cinnamon spice is not a flavor that I like, but the can is insanely cool.
Yeah, that's a very cool can. And I like that cinnamon. Like I'm a fan of that flavor in my beer on occasion, especially when it comes to autumn. So I'm interested in that, dude. I am drinking the Hipster IPA. I have this tie-dye shirt on, and I guess that's not hipster. It's hippie, I suppose.
It's adjacent.
It's adjacent to the Hipster IPA. This is from Iron Hill Brewing, and it's a New England, juicy. It's got the notes of melon, mango, and pine. It's really good. 6.7%, right where I want to be. Iron Hill started in Delaware, but it's a restaurant brewery, kind of like a Rock Bottom kind of thing, if anyone is familiar with Rock Bottom. And there's a bunch of them in this region. And this is good. I love a lot of the different things that they do at Iron Hill, but this one, the Hipster IPA, I would recommend this thing. I'm probably going to give it 4, might be too high. I'll go 3.75 because I don't think they let me go in between. But if I could go in between, it'd probably be like a 3.8, something like that.
You can go in between. You make your own rules.
All right, Sam, Vandy preview, Saturday, 9/6, 7:30 p.m. on ACC Network. This is the back end of a home and home with the Commodores. Last year, all of the Hokies were down in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
and they just smacked us around for about 30 minutes in that game. Our fans were perplexed. The stadium was dog shit.
Yep.
And we made it a game, but Diego Pavia is the ultimate gamer, and he got the best of us. I don't think it's extreme to say that the loss last year was one of the most damaging of the last 20 years for Virginia Tech in terms of what it cost VT with regard to the momentum they were building as a program on the come up after the Tulane Bowl win and winning 7 games for the first time in a while.
Yep.
It crushed all of the hopes. It took all of the casuals out of it, and it set the tone for what was a very disappointing season. And this year, the stakes are really high for a couple individuals and for just the program in general. Like if we don't get this win, the days may be numbered for Pry, Witt, etc. So
this is, I mean, this is, I feel more strongly about it now than I ever have. And we talked about it in the spring. This is the most must-win game on Virginia Tech's schedule. Capital M, capital W. You cannot lose. You must win. There is no other option.
Bring the heat, Sam.
If you, I mean, it's not a secret. Like, this is not a hot take. This is not like everybody wearing orange and maroon, mostly maroon because it's maroon effect, knows that if Virginia Tech does not win this game, we are probably seeing some major shakeup in the Virginia Tech athletic department.
It's crazy,
like,
dude.
You have to win this game.
What's funny too is on the flip side, this would be Pry's best win at Virginia Tech.
I mean, just any win would be his best at this point.
That's not true. That's not true. We've beaten the shit out of a bunch of ACC teams. We beat Liberty when they were pretty good under Hugh Freeze. We beat Tulane, depleted. I'm just giving you the other games. None of them would be as good as this win.
That's true. I mean, that is true, but
this team beat number 1 just last year. I know they were 7-6, but like Diego Pavia and this Vanderbilt team, this is a decent team. They may be near the bottom of the SEC. The SEC is really good. And so this is one of those games where like it's a level playing field. Like these two teams are neck and neck in a bunch of advanced metrics. And there's been rare times when Pry has even punched eye to eye, let alone punched up. And so this would be his biggest win. And so the binary feeling of not only the result, but how the fan base reacts, it is going to be more polarizing than any other win and loss that Pry has had.
And from a national perspective too, Vanderbilt's kind of a media darling for the college football sickos. And I think that game last year, if you look at the totality of Vanderbilt's season, that game was kind of like they peaked at Virginia Tech. They lost to Georgia State. They looked like crap against Ball State. And then they beat Alabama at home. And then they like hold serve in the SEC the rest of the season and don't look great. Like you have to avenge that moment because it was such a low point for this program. It felt like falling off a cliff because it was falling off a cliff. And you have to make that up to the fans who have given you so much. Like Virginia Tech fans deserve to win this game.
They do. And have we won a game under Pry where the spread was within 3 points?
I believe Pittsburgh was. I believe Pittsburgh Tech was favored by like 2.5, which is similar to this game.
When did we beat Pittsburgh with Pry?
Whiteout game.
The Kyron Drones first start. Yes. Or the first start at home, I should say.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that was a close spread game. Look, I think
because this is a 1-pointer.
That's this is pretty close. This is, I think it's going to be 1.5, 2.5 favoring Virginia Tech is where it's going to land. I mean, do you want to get the sad stat out of the way? Like, really tough one. Virginia Tech has not beaten a Power 4 opponent at home, a Power 4 non-conference opponent at home since
Nebraska
in 2009.
See, I knew that, but it doesn't negate the fact that it's insanely depressing.
I was 12.
Yeah, dude. We have not had a lot of success out of conference against the power teams. We know that. Our last win was against West Virginia in 2017 at FedEx. We got to get that monkey off our back too. So let's talk about Vanderbilt's ranks. Their over-under on the season was 5.5. They are already 1-0. Their FPI right now is 44. Virginia Tech is 37. SP Plus is 41. Virginia Tech is down at 62 after a 20-spot drop this past week. A little bit confusing. Me and Sam talked about that offline. Athlon put them at 40 before the season. Lindy's put them at 63, and the Massey Composite has them at 43 right now, which is an amalgamation of pretty much every computer metric. So we're 52 in the Massey Composite, and they're 43. Like I said, we're close. Like, we are very close with this team. There's limited data points. Most of the stuff is based on previous year, and we weren't good last year, and they were better than us. So
Yeah.
that's all taken into account. They're coached by Clark Lee. They had Tim Beck come over last year from New Mexico State with Pavia, with Jerry Kill. And Clark Lee was running the defense last year. Do you remember that, Sam? He took over the DC duties. He's now relinquished those again.
Yep. Yeah, he did the whole, like, in order to save my job, I'm going to take over one of the coordinator positions, and it actually worked for him, which was crazy. I do think this team is it's weird because I think they are a stout defense, but you can score on them. I think their defensive backfield is not great, but their defensive front seven is pretty darn good. So they're one of these weird defenses where if you don't come to play on offense, it's going to be hard to score, especially with how they want to control the clock and control the ball on offense. But if you feel like you can out scheme them, if you feel like you have the positional battle with your wide receivers versus your DBs and your quarterback has a good game, you can score a lot of points on them. So they are a bit of a feast of famine defense.
What made me fearful about the defense was just the number of returners, especially in the front seven, as you talked about, and the veterans. I mean, everyone on the
team's 25 years old.
I mean, they're all juniors and seniors. It's insane. And they brought back their 3 top tacklers, 4 of their top 5 of their top 7, Longwell, Patterson, Fontenette, who's probably their best defender. He's the one that came over from TCU last year. He broke up the most passes on the team. I think he might have had the most TFL on the team. And all top 7 of their TFL guys are back. And so what they do with their linebackers, that's how they get pressure. They bring guys on third down. Their D-line, like, they do have returners, and it's okay. But where they bring their pressure is from the linebacking core, and that linebacking core is very good with a lot of experience.
Yep.
Well, I shouldn't say very good. They have a lot of experience. They've put up a lot of numbers, but it's one of those things, Sam, like, not all returning production means you're going to be good. It might just mean you are what you are. But between the veterans, between having some depth more so than they had in the past, running the ball could be a challenge, but they were awful against the pass last year. They don't have a ton back there this year, as you already mentioned. So we need to be able to pass the ball. I think in general, Virginia Tech needs to run to win. I said it about South Carolina, and I still believe it, but we should have exposed the secondary more last year, and it took until the second half to kind of do it. We need to be able – Kyron has to have a good game passing the football. He has to.
Yeah, this was a bad pass defense last year. Like, this pass defense was worse than Wake Forest and Virginia last year.
Dude, they were as bad as Wake Forest and Virginia in yards per play last year.
Yeah, so this is what I mean when if you don't come to play and you just try to run the ball up the middle, they're gonna beat you down, and it's gonna be tough to score. But if you play like Virginia Tech played in the second half of the game in Nashville, you're going to be able to score some points. You're going to get some big chunk plays, and you're going to get some yardage. So this is the pressure is so high on Kyron Drones in this game. Just from a standpoint of, like, if he wants to play professionally, he has to look good consistently.
It's true.
Like, he's running out of
this is a chance.
He's running out of eligibility to look good consistently. And you need to have a good game. And this is a defensive backfield that you can have a big game on. And so I think there is a lot of pressure, yet a lot of opportunity for this Virginia Tech pass game against Vanderbilt.
we have to talk a little bit about Pavia and the offense.
Yeah, we do.
Because he gets to come back because he sued the NCAA and got a new rule for JUCOs. We can't get rid of this guy. Both of his brothers got arrested last Saturday night, so that was interesting.
Hand up. What do you have to do to get arrested for drunk in public in Nashville, Tennessee?
I don't know, man.
Their
And they got
entire-
arrested like an hour apart.
The entire economy of Nashville, Tennessee is based on drunk in public.
I don't know, man.
Both.
But back to the football. Chris Marv should have been shot for his pregame preparation last year.
It was awful. It was awful. If he was a sicko,
I'm speaking figuratively, of course.
If he was a sicko and watching New Mexico State like I was all the year before, he would know every single play that would have been ran.
Dude, the game
the
plan,
same offense,
the scheme, the prep, whatever, it was lacking. We were piss poor against their pistol option look. There was tape to watch, as you just said, and they had all summer to prepare. And we came out for 30 minutes just letting them do whatever the hell they wanted to do. And that was really freaking upsetting, man. And you know what's crazy is you think, okay, they had Pavia, they beat Bama, they beat us, they won 7 games. They were 102nd in yards per play. 0 improvement on offense from 2023.
They just
Zero improvement on offense overall.
They just managed the clock, got the clutch third down pickups when they needed to, and moved the chains. And like that's it. They got a lot of turn. Like they don't turn the ball over. They do not. Like Pavia is very, very good about not turning the ball over. And defensively, they do turn the ball over. That is the one good thing that this defensive backs do. They do turn the ball over. Last year, Vanderbilt's offense in regulation versus FBS, because they played a lot of overtime periods, they only averaged 22.8 points per game. It's not a lot. And in fact, if you take out the games against Virginia Tech and Alabama, where they played out of their mind, they only averaged 20.4 points per game in regulation.
It just wasn't that good of an offense on a consistent game-to-game basis. And what I kind of do worry about with this game, we're not going to do all the takeaways right now, or keys to the game, I should say. Under the Lights in Lane seems like a stage where Pavia is going to thrive. Like he's just going to be like, he like feeds off the crowd. Like
he does. Yeah. Like I think if you're going to this game and like, oh, we're going to get under Pavia's skin. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. I mean, if Virginia Tech's going to win this game, it's because they get pressure with the interior. Like, all right, here, that's your key to get in mind. Pressure with your interior defensive tackles absolutely blows up an option offense, any option offense. If you can win one-on-one and eliminate the dive part of the option, you've pretty much won, because now they don't have the numbers advantage. So that is going to be really, really key for Virginia Tech in this game. Something I thought interesting when I look back at last year, they only had one game with a rusher over 100 yards.
Yeah, well, Pavia was their
It was
leading rusher.
Pavia versus Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he had 800 yards rushing. Second was Cedric Alexander, who was back.
Yes,
he had
and a very good
586 and 3.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, but he does a lot of other things for him. He's a good receiving back.
He does. He catches a lot of passes.
And that was one thing I want to point out about this team. They don't throw the ball a lot, but they do have better pass catchers than you would think. Stowers is all-American caliber at tight end, although he kind of tends to feast on lower competition, but he's a very, very good player.
He's going to be a problem. I mean, he was preseason All-American and just about everything.
Yeah, I mean, he's tough.
And Cheryl,
they have good pass.
The wide receiver, Cheryl, is back.
They do.
And an advantage for us should be that pressure you're talking about from the D-line up the middle. Only one returning starter on the O-line. Now, we don't know because they portaled a new offensive line, more or less. They took like 5 guys on the O-line in the portal, and they invested in the position to protect Pavia. And they were good in terms of TFL last year, but that's more of a reflection of the offensive design rather than the quality of the offensive line. Because if you look at their yards per rush, they were 96 in the country last year in yards per rush. Like they're not running at a high clip. They plot down the field, and they win on the margins and all the stuff that you were already saying. It's just, I think with what we saw against South Carolina, if you bring that kind of heat, bring that kind of juice to the playing field, we can neutralize this offensive line for sure.
And when you look at the best teams that Vanderbilt played last year in terms of rush defense, they didn't, in none of those games did they have a very good rushing game. So when they played Tennessee, who was the best one of the best rush defenses in the country last year, 37% success rate. When they played Missouri, 38% success rate. Auburn had a very good rush defense last year, 16% success rate. Texas, 33% success rate. If you're below 40%, that's not good. And so when they played very good rush defenses, they struggled to get the yardage that they needed to get. And so we only have one bullet point for Virginia Tech's defensive front against the run this year. But I would think Virginia Tech has that capability and can rotate the guys. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you're going to sit Caleb Woodson for the first drive of this game. Let me tell you that.
It's a good offense when it's clicking, but if you play physical and you play assignment football, you can shut it down.
And the two teams that didn't play assignment football against them last year were Virginia Tech and Alabama.
And we see what Alabama is now too. Kalen DeBoer and the way he's running that program, that was the first shot across the bow last year was Vanderbilt. And you've seen it again and again since then.
Could you imagine moving willingly from Seattle to Tuscaloosa as a millionaire?
He should have not.
That's wild.
It's
a wild life.
He got money for grandkids and great grandkids by taking the Alabama job, but he's not going to be there very long. I think we all know that. Overall keys to the game. We talked about a few. I expect us to be much better prepared to take on this offense, to say the least. Focus on the run. Leave your defensive backs to kind of fend for themselves. I'll take our chances in this game. There's no Nick Harbor on the field. I mean, they've got some nice pass catchers and stowers. I don't even know exactly what we're going to do with him. He poses a problem, but physicality is a must. Discipline, a must. Know your role and execute. That's what I would say in terms of defending their offense. On our offense, Sam.
Catch the damn ball.
Kyron's got to stand in there and deliver some balls, dude.
He does.
And I don't know who's going to do this, whether it's Benji or the running backs, but we got to be able to pick up blitzing linebackers because they are absolutely going to try to bring pressure on the third downs. And we need to see Kyron use his legs more. I don't care. I know we had a long discussion with Mike Holmes about these games don't matter. They're out of conference games. Some coaches view it like this. Some coaches view it like this. This one matters. This one matters for Coach Pry.
Yep, it does. And I think something that's interesting is, and I asked Kyron about it post game about playing an SEC team in week 1 and how that prepared them for the year. And he was in no mood to answer any question at all. Pry was asked about it by our great football beat reporter, Ryan Castle, about it after practice. And he said, I think it really helped evaluate. And he said he's kind of waffled back and forth in his career about what he prefers for week 1. Does he want the cupcake or does he want the challenge? But he does think that with this group and as many guys as they have and as many decisions that they need to make in terms of depth chart.
Who's better than who?
Yeah. And that they have a really good idea of it after playing that quality of opponent. And I think for Virginia Tech, even if it's on short rest, they left that South Carolina game relatively healthy. I think they're going to be physically much more prepared for this game than Vanderbilt, who played Charleston Southern, who is one of the worst teams in FCS.
They beat the living shit out of them, though.
Charleston Southern is picked dead last in the Big South Conference.
Okay.
That is a terrible
Pavia had a nice game of stats. I didn't even want to bring up the Charleston Southern game because I agree with you.
Yeah, but
they all put up stats.
Correct. And I think this is, you can argue, is it better to just play that game where everything goes well and you're fresh for week 2? Or is it better to play a real incredible challenge in week 1? For this Virginia Tech program, I would rather have the challenge before this Vanderbilt game, because I feel like this team knows what it's like to be hit. And I watched the condensed game against Charleston Southern, and Vanderbilt didn't have to do much. They made some good plays, but they didn't really have to do much.
I mean, this is going to be a relief for our offensive line.
Yeah, it is.
Compared to what they just had to deal with. We've also been pretty good in the first home game of the season under Coach Pry, before Coach Pry. And I think Coach is 6-1 at home at night, with the lone loss being to West Virginia.
I'll hang on to that in my heart.
Yeah, let's keep that one in the back pocket. It's just a massive game for the program. Make no mistake. It's Vanderbilt. I get it. But this would be the best win for him. Like, this is not your older brother's Vanderbilt. They won 7 games last year, Sam. Outside of the Franklin years, they had won 7 games precisely once since 1982. They were of course, they're a much different Vanderbilt team the 2 years that Tech decides to play them. Of course they are, because that's just us. But at home, at night, you can't go 0-2. You got the out-of-conference thing hanging over your head. It's one of those coin flip games. It's under a 3-point spread. You got to win it. You got to win it.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. Like, there is no excuse. There is no reason. There is no weird special teams play. There is none of the only thing that matters on Saturday night is that scoreboard. That's it. Kyron could play the worst game of all time. I would not care if Virginia Tech wins this game. You just have to find a way to win the game.
Just win, baby. Let's do our picks.
Okay. Hey,
lots of giant spreads in the pick'em, as I said. OK State. These are the 4 games we'll pick from the pick'em. Then I'll talk briefly about some other games. Oklahoma State going to Oregon. Oregon 27.5 point favorites. That's sad. I feel a little bit bad for Gundy and them.
I don't. Give me Oregon.
Oh God. I've been a little tore up over this, but I'll take Oregon because I'll just feel like a fool if they cover and I didn't pick them. Ole Miss at Kentucky. This is a rematch of a critical loss for Ole Miss last year. Do you think the Rebels get it done? 9.5. 9.5 is the line.
I think there's a little bit of a revenge factor here. I don't think Kentucky can score more than 17 against this Ole Miss defense. So give me the Rebels to win, to cover.
Ole Miss should not be sleeping for this one. They'll win and they'll cover. USF at Florida. Florida 17.5 point favorites. USF coming off the big win last Thursday night. This is a fun game, man. This is a really fun game.
It is. I think I'm going to pump the brakes on South Florida a bit because every bounce of the ball kind of went their way against Boise State. They had a bit of fumble luck when Boise State was driving and in the red zone at some points. They had a fake punt for a touchdown. They had a few penalties, extend drives go their way that were kind of soft. Like, I want to pump the brakes on South Florida. That being said, again, a situation where one team plays a highly contested physical game against Boise State and the other team plays Long Island University, which is an amalgamation of 2 small schools in Brooklyn.
And they had extra days rest too.
Yeah. Like, I think this is one where 17.5 is way too many points, but I would pick Florida to win this game outright, but South Florida to cover 17.
I'll take South Florida to cover 2. And maybe we're being led into the lion's mouth. Michigan at Oklahoma. This is a ranked matchup, top 20 matchup in the pick'em. This is only 2.5 points. Oklahoma favored by 2.5 at home in Norman.
Money line Mateer all day, baby. I think this is a rude awakening for Bryce Underwood. I don't think they were particularly dominant against New Mexico, which kind of worries me. And I think this Oklahoma team has a lot to prove. Defensively, this is a very good Sooners team. Norman's one of the toughest places to play in college football. So give me the Sooners to win this one by a couple touchdowns.
I'm not seeing the Michigan side at all. And that terrifies me.
Yeah, no, it's like all of the Michigan keeps getting consistently like top 15 and they're getting positive spreads. And you're like, why? And I know they've recruited very well defensively, but like there's no star power on this team right now.
You're telling me that Oklahoma can't get a 3-point win in Norman? against a freshman quarterback.
My fear is this is somewhat like their game against Tennessee. Nico came in and lit them up. That's a little scary, but I think this is a much, much better Oklahoma team than that. And also Oklahoma gets 2 of their starting offensive linemen back for this game.
I got to take Oklahoma here. I think it's up to 5.5 in most books.
I think I have 3.5.
And it's 2.5 in a pick 'em. So I'm going to take the value. I'll take Oklahoma. The other games of note that aren't in the pick 'em, Baylor at SMU. SMU 3-point favorites, a narrow line. I'm scared for SMU here because you're going to get the bounce back factor from Baylor. I know they didn't look good last week. We watched some of it together, but I'm nervous for SMU with that 3-point line here. This is a big game for the ACC. It really is.
It is. And that Baylor offense looks really, really good. Baylor's defense looks really, really bad. And I think SMU, again, it's the same thing. One of these teams played a really challenging first game. The other one played a cupcake.
Mm-hmm.
Which team comes into this game better prepared and which team is a little beat up? I'm going to go with SMU here because I just Baylor, what I saw from Baylor's defense was just not much at all. And so I think SMU can win in a shootout in this one because SMU's defense will take a step back from what they were last year.
I'll take Baylor because even if they don't win, I could see this ending with a really weird score. So I'll take Baylor plus 3.
That's fair.
Iowa at Iowa State, the Cyhawk, Iowa State 3.5-point favorites. If you're doing anything then like other than taking the points in the Cyhawk, I think you're crazy.
I'll call me crazy. Give me the Cyclones. I was not super impressed with what I was able to do in their opening game against a not great opponent. And I think Iowa State, a lot of people said, hey, they're going to struggle against South Dakota State. That's a good FCS team. They're coming off the Ireland game. What do? 55-7.
Good point. Very
Punch
good
them in
point.
the mouth like this.
You know who did struggle after Ireland?
Preseason. A lot of people doubted preseason. Like, dude, they have Rocco Beck's a really good quarterback. And I think that's going to be the difference in this game because if somebody needs to make a throw, I'm going to go with Rocco Beck right now. Gronkowski, or what is it? Gronowski? Gronowski. Yeah. I need to see it from him in order to believe it right now.
In the ACC, there's a number of interesting games. Not going to pick them, but let me just run through them. Illinois at Duke. Duke 2.5-point underdogs at home. Big game for the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia at NC State. I'm so curious to see how this goes.
Yeah. A non-conference game.
Because I feel like we're a relatively even team. Oh, this is one of those non-cons. We're a relatively even team with NC State. If UVA beats them, then it starts to make me think, like, are we wrong? Was I wrong about the Chandler Morris thing? Because I think he's empty calories. I think he's not that great.
Which quarterback is more empty calories? Bailey or Morris? Like, that's the question.
We're going to find out.
And I think, too, if NC State's offensive line is not very good, they need to protect Bailey and they need to get better in the run blocking because their best offensive weapon is their running back, Hollywood Smothers, and he had nowhere to run against ECU for most of that game. So I'm going to go NC State if I had to pick this game, but both of these teams like have something to prove because Coastal Carolina might be pretty damn bad.
So
NC State that's an asterisk to put there, but
NC State has a lot of the Justin Fuente, Virginia Tech energy in that whenever we play one of these like lower tier teams like ECU or like when we were playing ODU or Liberty, like he would just let them put us in hell the whole time. And then he'd go out and he'd win some like reasonably better games. But that's what Dave Doran is doing with NC State. Every time he plays one of these shittier teams, like Louisiana Tech last year, remember that game? Like he has his fans in hell.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a challenge for NC State. And I think even though it's not an ACC game, I think it's going to tell you a lot about how the ACC evens out because most of the teams in the middle of the pack are counting on beating NC State and or Virginia in order to get to where they need to get, including the Hokies.
The last 4 games, and let me run through these and you can react to anyone you want. UNC at Charlotte. Be careful, Bill Belichick. Be careful. BC at Michigan State. Interesting game. -5 for Michigan State. UConn at Syracuse. Be careful, Fran Brown, in this one. Syracuse, 6.5-point favorites in the Dome. And then JMU at Louisville. Louisville, 13.5-point favorites. Not as big of a be careful here, but JMU
be careful.
Be careful.
JMU has beaten a power conference team each of the last 2 years.
Yep.
An ACC team each of the last 2 years.
UVA.
They beat UVA and they beat North Carolina. Watch out.
The North Carolina game. Yeah, you're right.
Watch out, Louisville. I have already bet UConn money line against Syracuse.
Those are some fascinating games. It'd be cool
Yes,
if BC could pull off that Michigan State win. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be nice.
And as better betting advice, do not overreact to week 1. The original line for UNC Charlotte was 21.5. It is now down to 13. Charlotte is maybe the worst team in FBS. I would put them in I would put them with.
Didn't they win week 1 though?
No, they got crushed by App State.
Oh, that's what it was.
I
think I was like observing that game, and be like, something happened in that game that made me think something. It was the App State looked
crushed
good.
them.
Yeah.
So, interesting. That's all. That's not a lot of points in that matchup.
Some fun ACC slop to get to wet your whistle this weekend.
Yeah,
but anyway, that's going to do it for the pod. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed our coverage all summer. We are finally in the season. We are in the depths of it now. Sam will be back on College Football Monday next week, and we're going to keep coming to you, but we got to get this win this weekend. For everyone going down for the home opener, I wish you luck. We need this. Cheer hard. I don't necessarily want to see Pavia's knees get blown out like one of our.
Yeah, I don't want to see that either. I don't want to see that.
But I want to see us win. And
are we predicting it?
I won't predict anything again, Sam.
Okay, that's fair. We'll stick with that.
Yeah. Anyway, make sure you subscribe. Spotify, Apple Podcast, Sons of Saturday channel on YouTube. And until next time, go Hokies.
Go Hokies.